Hello everybody, happy Monday. You made it to Trackalicious, the host of the GT4 Rookies this evening. Tonight, we go to the former home of Formula One, IndyCar, the current home of IMSA, NASCAR, and lots of Sports Car Club of America events. But tonight, it hosts the Trackalicious GT4 Rookies in their second round of the New Year Championship. Welcome everyone. Hope you are doing well on your Monday evening or Tuesday morning, wherever you may be joining us from. Happy to have you here with us. Excited to go racing for round number 2. Super close round 1, and the standings reflect that 3 drivers currently at the top, 2 of them tied with points, and the driver in third 1 point behind. And we will get to those drivers here shortly. But of course, still very early on in the season after just 1 round completed. Last week, we head into round number 2 tonight at Watkins, Glen. Looking like the conditions will be nice and sunny and warm for the drivers. Will be a challenge to keep the tires in check for the 20-minute races we have lined up this evening. And let's head to the track as the cars begin to roll out for the start of the first qualifying session. Dr. Porkchop still getting ready to go out of the pits. One of the 2 drivers tied at the top of the standings with 41 points after finishing first and third last week in the 2 races. The second driver with 41 points is John Kilcoyne, sharing the Aston Martin GT4 with Dr. Porkchop in the Firebrand number 44. He also had a third place finish and a race win last week. So 2 Aston Martins at the top, the ones to chase down this evening. JP Barretto and the number 6 AMG proved to be a worthy opponent for the Aston Martins. However, he got 2 second place finishes last week and looking to keep the momentum going, perhaps pick up a race win in round number 2 tonight with 2 20-minute races coming up. We've got this 15-minute qualifying session to set the grid for race number 1. Pretty high speed lap around Watkins Glen. Despite the length, it is covered in a pretty short amount of time. And lots of elevation change at Watkins Glen as well, as JP Barretto begins the climb up to the middle of Sector 3, finishes out the boot section. That part of the track was added to the original layout in the early 1970s to lengthen the lap and provide more of a challenge to those Formula One guys. First of those drivers on a valid lap, Gennaro Olivero and the number 12 AMG going through turn 5, the outer loop, and looking to get a valid lap on the board. The GT4s do not have any tire warmers, so it takes a few laps for that rubber to get up to the right temperature and pressure to be able to deliver optimal performance. But nonetheless, we'll still look on as the number 12 gets to the bottom of the hill and begins the climb up through the toe of the boot, going into the heel. You can see the climb there they take. Plateaus pretty quickly, the braking zone relatively flat. Not a lot of help or hindrance either in this part of the track. However, coming up to turn 9, there is a lot of camber pushing the driver to the outside. Very difficult to get grip in those rear tires. The car naturally just wants to oversteer out of the corner, and that is quite a problem with the wall approaching very quickly to the outside of the curbing there at turn number 9. And then a right-hander to finish out the lap at turn 10, and a wall approaching very quickly, and Olivero strikes it with the rear, but avoiding too much damage there as he sets a 58.005. Josh Ransom behind gets a better time on the board with Giancarlo Bottini slotting in. Same with John Kilcoyne as the times begin to come in. Wes Jones joining for the Watkins Glen race this evening in the Baller Squad Racing 80 AMG. Where will he slot in? Luke Shaw on the board, and Wes Jones gets into the top 5, but still about half the field remaining to complete a valid lap. JP Barreto to the line. Where will he go after his first lap? Like we said, not quite representative with the tires, still getting up to temperature as he goes up to 4th place onto the 2nd row. Chris Saunderson currently has the time to beat, a 156.165 for the Audi driver in the number 18 Allison Racing, going down the chute and into turn number 6, looking to get a better time on the board, currently about 3.5 tenths up from the Ginetta of Josh Ransom, joining him on the front row in 2nd place. 5.5 minutes gone by in the qualifying session so far. Still plenty of time on the board for the drivers to get those laps in. Still missing times from a handful of drivers as they continue their way around the Watkins Glen International Raceway. Two corners left. Sweeping to the left, carrying a lot of speed and looking to do the same back to the right here to close out the lap. Once again, the wall comes up quick, and Saunderson avoids that barrier as John Kilcoyne goes to the top. But let's see if the Audi can improve, and he gets a big improvement, gets 2.5 tenths clear of John Kilcoyne. Prakash Natasan, the number 82 Dark Side Racing, closing out the lap here in the AMG, currently sitting in 7th place, but it is a very tight gap there inside the top 5 as he moves up to 4th place, gets on the 2nd row alongside Josh Ransom. Gabriel Frere in the 27 McLaren. 2 corners left. Currently inside the top 10. Needs about 0.5 tenth to get past Rally Dutchy to 9th. Can he find the time? He finds a lot of time. Goes into the top 5 ahead of Barreto. Does the Firebrand Ginetta have an answer to that and potentially seeing himself in the top 5? Needs about 3 tenths to improve past the McLaren. We've seen Bottini on the podium before. We know he's got the pace to get it done. Can the Ginetta do it around Watkins Glen? You've got John Ransom inside the top 5. Will Bottini be joining him? He moves up a place into 6th, and he matches the time of Gabriel Frere in the 27 McLaren. They have identical times there in 5th and 6th with a 156.86 on the board from both of those drivers. Race winner from last week, Dr. Porkchop, currently in 8th. Started the qualifying a little bit later, so perhaps just finding the pace here, or finding the temperatures in the tires here as he looks to close out the lap here and advance to a higher position, but going into the wall pretty heavily as well. With 6 minutes left in the session, Porkchop does find some time, and he does get ahead of JP Barreto in the AMG. Barreto will look for an answer right back here, closing the lap. And all the way up to second place goes Barreto. Gets on the front row alongside the Audi. 2.5 tenths back, but gets a 55.977 on the board in the AMG. Now Bottini looking for that improvement once again to get into the top 5. Got shuffled down to 7th after that big improvement from Barreto. And Bottini finds a big improvement and gets ahead of Josh Ransom in the other Ginetta to get onto the second row alongside John Kilcoyne, and a wiggle on the exit of turn 1 and validates the lap for Bottini. But a great lap from the 57 Ginetta. Does Wes Jones have an answer to all of the drivers finding the pace in the last 5 minutes of the qualifying session? Getting very close to the wall, carrying all of the speed out of the final corner, and to the line goes the AMG, moves up a place, and gets on the 4th row. Ezzy Thomas in the KTM. He's got a lap on the board. Needs about a second to improve past Vladimir Beluga in the number 5 Porsche. And the KTM through the corners can certainly carry a lot of speed. It's on the straights where it's slightly disadvantaged. And now coming up to the line, can Ezzy Thomas get that big improvement on the board? He does get a big improvement, and it is very close to the time of Vladimir Beluga. They are separated by 12 thousandths of a second. Joe Kalile getting on the board late in the last 4 minutes of the qualifying session finds his 26 McLaren inside the top 10. Needs about 6 tenths to advance past Dr. Porkchop, who's currently sitting in 9th. The race winner and podium sitter from last week, just not having the pace here around Watkins Glen. But qualifying is one thing, racing is another, and we've seen Porkchop move up from positions in the back up to high finishing positions at the end of the race. So we'll just have to wait and see what the 20 minutes bring. But 2.5 minutes left in the qualifying session. Joe Kalile looking to get a big jump in his 26 McLaren. With the top 2 in the pits, they will not be able to improve their times. It is up to the rest of the grid to try and find the times. Natasan in the pits from 6th, Rally Ducci and Olivero in the pits from 11th and 12th. Same with Pavel Luksha in the 43 AMG, currently sitting in 14th place. Kalile, just 2 corners left before he starts his final qualifying lap. But where will this put him? Out of the final corner, the McLaren, certainly known for its top speed, and up to the line, slots up to 6th place, gets ahead of Natasan behind the 2 Ginettas of Bottini and Josh Ransom in 4th and 5th place, respectively. And And Kyle crucially crossing the line before the timer hit 0, but he did invalidate the lap. So 6th place will be as high as Kyle will finish as he returns back to the pits. Bottini to the line as Porkchop goes up to 4th place. Bottini doesn't have a response. He's about 2/10 behind the Aston Martin in 4th. You know, I'm not sure if 6 had an update to the livery. It looks about the same as it did last week. Unless there were some small details that were added on that I may have missed. It is looking pretty similar to last week. Wes Jones to the line, 30 seconds left. He has one more lap to go. Currently just inside the top 10 and needs 0.05 of a second to get ahead of Gabriel Frere, but runs wide at turn 1. And that is the qualifying session done for the number 80 AMG. Just like that, out of turn number 1. John Kilcoyne across the line to start his final lap. Same with the number 42. That is Alice Nonohara in the KTM. Time expires. This will be the lap that counts for everybody. John Kilcoyne invalidating the lap. He will have to pull off to the side of the road. Unfortunately, can't improve his place. The sister KTM is looking for an improvement and is on a valid lap. Can Hezzy Thomas find a few thousandths of a second to get ahead of Vladimir Beluga coming up to the line? And can't quite find the time there, but it is very close between Hezzy and Vladimir Beluga. Should be some good racing there. Dr. Porkchop to the line, looking to get the jump on John Kilcoyne, and he can't quite find the time. About 0.5 behind the Aston Martin, making it an all Aston Martin second row. Unless Alice Nonohara or Gabriel Frere have anything to say about it. And in fact, it is just Alice Nonohara. Gabriel Frere taking the checkered flag. Rounding out the hill, nearly going into the wall, kicking up a bit of grass on the exit of turn 9, and now just 2 corners remain in the qualifying session, with Alice Nonohara looking to pick up the time at the end here. Slinging it into the corner, carrying all the speed, avoiding the wall. Is that enough to get it done and move up the standings? Not quite. 13th will be where Alice Nonohara will start. Chris Saunderson gets the pole position with a 155.757 on the board from the Audi driver. "15-minute qualifying complete. The grid is established." Let's take a look at how we line up for the first race of the evening. Chris Saunderson on pole position in the number 18 Allison Racing Audi, looking to take advantage from starting at the front of the grid. He will have the inside line for turn 1. Can he get the early jump and say goodbye to the rest of the grid? Will João Pedro Barreto lining up next to him in second place in the Manga Racing number 6 AMG. 2 second place finishes last week, looking to get his first win of the season tonight, and he is in a good position to do that, starting on the front row. Behind him, the 2 Aston Martins, the 2 race winners from last week. First, it's John Kilcoyne in the Firebrand number 44. He starts from 3rd, ahead of the man equal on points with him in the championship to this point. Dr. Porkchop in the 71, Chop Shop Racing, making that Aston Martin second row. Behind them, you've got Giancarlo Bottini starting the All Ginetta third row in the Firebrand number 57, as he has Josh Ransom next to him in the 325 for company. The TVR starting from sixth. Joe Kalile next in seventh place in the number 95 MCL number 26. But the livery is number 95 MCL. He starts from seventh place. He's got Prakash Natsan, the Dark Side Racing AMG. The number 82 starts next to him from 8th place. Next, you have the McLaren of Gabriel Frere in the Logitech McLaren G Challenge number 27. He starts from the top of the 5th row. Rounding out the top 10, you've got Wes Jones in the Baller Squad Racing number 80 AMG. Starting from 11th, Rally Dutchy in the Cusata Racing Academy 621 Ginetta. He shares the row with Gennaro Olivero in the number 12 AMG. Then you've got the KTM of Alice Nonohara, and we will take a livery deep dive there for sure. As the 42 Wicked Sisters Motorsports starts from 13th. Alongside Alice, you've got Paolo Luksha in the 43 AMG Motorsports starting from 14th. And on the 8th row, Vladimir Beluga starts from the top in the Beluga Racing number 5 Porsche. Last but not least, Hezzy Thomas in the Dog Box Racing number 59 KTM. Our controller warrior out there. And let's take a deep look at Alice Nonohara's livery here. Lots of colors represented on the KTM here. Swing around the front. Lots of stars and details, a lot of coloring as well. Down the side we go as the field goes through the S's on the beginning of the formation lap. Looking to get the tires and the brakes and themselves warmed up for 20 minutes of racing ahead. There's Alice Nonohara's livery in full detail on display from every which angle. As the field goes down the back straight, weaving side to side, getting any sort of temperature they can into those ice cold tires. As we get set for the start of the race, Chris Saunderson will lead the field. And you have the 3 podium sitters from last week behind Chris Saunderson. And their qualifying times were pretty tight. This should be a very interesting race all the way up and down the grid. At one point, we did have 2 drivers sharing identical lap times. So can the Audi get the early jump? Will the AMG have a response alongside? Can the 2 Aston Martins do anything from the second row? What about the Ginettas of Bottini and Ransom from row 3? The McLarens behind also having a good top speed advantage here at Watkins Glen. Can they produce a rise up the standings from Kalile in 7th or Gabriel Frere in 9th? Only time will tell. Getting into the closing stages of the final sector of the lap. As the rookies get lined up side by side, getting ready for the start of race 1. What's happening here with John Kilcoyne? That car is all over the road here. Looks like it's sorted. No incidents there. From the Aston Martin starting from third. As one corner separates us from the green lights, we get ready for round number 2 at Watkins Glen. Chris Saunderson leads the way. Barretto alongside him. The Astons of Kilcoyne and Porkchop behind. Then the Ginettas of Bottini and Ransom round out the top 6.
Green light, green light. Go,
There is the green flag waving. It is a pretty long run down into turn 1. Chris Saunderson gets the early jump already. Gets a car length ahead. Dr. Porkchop kind of shuffled back there as he drops behind the Ginetta of Bottini, and John Kilcoyne challenging second place as they go up the hill through the S's for the first time. Saunderson, a big jump in the Audi, gets ahead of the cars behind. Dr. Porkchop fighting back for his 4th place, getting ahead of Bottini already early on, and there is Joe Kalal making the early moves already alongside the Ginetta as we go into the braking zone of the bus stop chicane. There may have been a little bit of contact between the two. Kalal getting very wiggly on the exit, and now he has the AMG behind. I believe that is Gabriel Olivero moving up from 12th up to 8th place in a good top 10 position for him already. Josh Ransom, unfortunately, having to go back to the pits in the 325 Ginetta. And John Kilcoyne challenging for the lead of the race, exiting the toe up the hill into the heel. Can he find an advantage alongside the Audi? The Audi, though, not leaving a lot of room on the inside. He might come under pressure from the AMG of Barretto behind, closing out the podium, but he's got Dr. Porkchop charging quickly behind in the Aston Martin, looking to get into the top 3 and potentially find himself in the podium once again. But Bottini is not giving him any breathing room, and into turn 10, Dr. Porkchop looking a little bit advantageously there, a long way back into not too heavy of a braking zone, perhaps just trying to throw Barretto off as they go out to close the lap. The Ginetta able to carry so much speed through the corners compared to the Aston Martin, but here the Aston can pull away as John Kilcoyne lagging all over the road here. Hopefully it's not happening for the drivers out on track as he goes from challenging to the lead to being challenged for his position as João Pedro Barretto tries the move through the S. Is very tricky to get the move done as he goes into contact with Dr. Porkchop. Amazingly, both of them still pointing in the correct direction. Losing a few positions, though, to Bottini and to Kalal. Amazingly, Porkchop and Barretto pointing in the correct direction, avoiding major damage at the top of the S's. So that gives a little bit of breathing room to John Kilcoyne, who now has the Firebrand teammate behind him for the podium position. And behind them, you've got the McLaren of Joe Kalal moving up from 7th place up to 4th. Dr. Porkchop moving down to 5th after starting from 4th. Then Barretto behind him in 6th. Wes Jones, up to 7th. Alice Notohara with a big improvement from 13th to 8th. Then Gennaro Olivero in 9th. Paolo Lucia rounds out the podium, or excuse me, not the podium, the top 10 for the time being, as he has Rally Duchy, Hezi Thomas, Vladimir Beluga, Gabriel Frere, and Prakash Natasan behind. But unfortunately, Prakash Natasan did have to go to the pits as there was contact between the 44 Aston Martin, the McLaren of Joe Kalal, and the Aston of Dr. Porkchop. Looked like a bit of a lag moment there as the 44 back in the pits. Joe Kalal has to go to the pits as well after he gets a big early jump. The McLaren forced to go to the pits, and Dr. Porkchop carrying heavy damage on the front of that Aston Martin, coming out of a nearly blind corner up the hill at turn 9. Just unable to pick out the danger ahead. And he's got Wes Jones challenging him now for 4th place after starting from 10th. Wes Jones in the AMG gets on through, can carry a lot of top speed compared to that damaged Aston Martin, and he gets ahead before the braking zone of the bus stop. With all this chaos and madness, what happened there? Yeah, I think what happened there, from our end, it looked like a bit of a lag spike. Yeah, exactly. The car that's just teleported there. And that is exactly what it looked like for us as well. Dr. Porkchop getting involved in that, as well as Alice Nonahara looks to get into the top 5 here, with Dr. Porkchop carrying the damage and continuing on here. Just 5.5 minutes gone by. Oh, and running wide out of the turn 9. Alice Nonahara makes contact with the barrier. The right side of the car there seeing a bit of damage from the KTM, as Olivero looks to take advantage now, sitting in 7th place. Chris Saunderson remains in the lead. Giancarlo Bottini up from the 3rd row of the grid, now challenging Chris Saunderson for the lead of the race. He's in 2nd in the 57 Firebrand. JP Barreto, after getting involved in some incidents earlier on, still finds himself in a podium position about 5 seconds back of the top 2. He's got Wes Jones not too far behind, about 1.1 seconds. The gap between the two AMGs fighting for this final podium position. Dr. Porkchop remains in the top 5, but Alice Nonahara is challenging that position quite hardly as she continues on and looking to get the places, with Dr. Porkchop carrying a lot of front end damage. As you can see there, the front bumper hanging off the right hand side of the car, but the KTM just can't find a way through. Behind Alice, you have Gennaro Olivero trying to make up places, but getting a bit too close to the back of the KTM and having to back off. Can't quite find the clean line through turn 9. Now has to catch back up to the KTM as the KTM goes for a little bit of a drift. Continuing on, though, in hot pursuit of what might be a top 5 finish for Olivero come the end of the race, if he can get ahead of the KTM and challenge Dr. Porkchop in that damaged Aston for a top 5 spot. But first, crucially, you have to get by the KTM, as through the S's, the KTM swinging to the left-hand side, opening up the inside for Gennaro to go through, and the top speed advantage of the AMG showing here. He's got the inside line and takes full advantage into the bus stop, moving up to 6th place, now looking to challenge Dr. Porkchop for a top 5 position. Nonahara with a late dive to the inside. Olivero opening up the door, and they are side by side going through turn 6. And now into turn 7, Olivero gets ahead once again and has the track position ahead of Alice Nonohara, but the challenge is still on from the KTM. As the two of these continue to battle, that is going to allow Dr. Porkchop to escape a little bit ahead up the road. Meanwhile, allowing Rally Dutchy to close in as well, running a little bit wide at the exit of turn 8. As we check back in with our leaders, Chris Saunderson still leading the way. 5 laps completed for the leader as he crosses the line now. Begins lap number 6. Giancarlo Bottini challenging for that race win. He is getting super close to the back of the Audi as we have hit the halfway mark of the race. 10 minutes remain for the Ginetta to try and find a way by the Audi down the straight. Is certainly going to be a challenge for the Ginetta, with the Audi able to roar away and build that gap. It is through the corners where the Ginetta has the advantage. Gabriel Frere takes a visit down pit lane, as does Vladimir Beluga in the number 5 Porsche. Fortunately here, lots of visits to the pit lane. Eventful night for the pit crew, as Bottini continues to try and close in on Chris Saunderson after starting from pole position. Hasn't given up first place. And there we can see the two AMGs battling for 4th and 3rd. You've got Barreto in that podium position, with Wes Jones having the fastest lap of the race as well here, trying to close in on JP Barreto. Oh, and the Ginetta side by side with the Audi through the final corner. This might be the change for the race lead, and bumping into the Audi and then bumping into the wall is Giancarlo Bottini. Did someone say AMG? Not one, but two, my friend Eric. You've got Barreto in 3rd, Wes Jones in 4th. Bottini challenging momentarily for the race lead in a little bumper car action. Unfortunately, unfavorable bouncing for Bottini, getting thrown into the wall at the exit of 11. We'll now have all that work to do again as the Audi storms away in the straights. Here is the AMG battle for 3rd. Wes Jones, after starting from 10th all the way up to 4th here, maintaining that gap of around 1 second to João Pedro Barreto, holding on to 3rd place. Crucially though, he is ahead of his championship rivals, the two Aston Martins of John Kilcoyne and Dr. Porkchop. It's a little early to say championship rival, I should say. Just being one race in, but those three are very evenly matched on points after round number 1. But still a long way to go. 7 rounds remaining and a drop round as well to consider. So while it is still very early on in the championship, important to get the points while you can. And Chris Saunderson is doing just that in the lead of the race. Wes Jones pushing the limits of the AMG and running wide at turn 10. And once again here, Giancarlo Bottini Challenging it to the inside of turn 1. Saunderson gives him a little bit of room, doesn't want to run wide and risk picking up a track limit violation. Bottini to the inside of the S's as they go side by side up the hill. Now through turn 3, the Audi has the inside and has the top speed advantage and slots ahead of the Ginetta before they get to turn 4. And down the back straight, it is the same story as the previous lap. The Audi just having the top speed advantage, and in the second half of the lap, the Ginetta just able to close in. And closing in, and he gets it very close into that final corner and challenging into turn 1. But like you said there, Audi's got the legs, doesn't need to worry about the Ginetta. To the inside of the heel, the Ginetta having a look. Saunderson defends though. The over-under move attempted by Bottini, but Saunderson parking the car very well at the apex, not giving any room for Bottini to pull off that move into turn number 7. And now into turn 9, very tricky to get the grip out of the corner. Just want to ease onto that throttle. And here through the corners, we can really see how close the Ginetta is to the Audi, really pushing Saunderson along for the race lead and nearly pushing him into the wall. And again, exiting the final corner. There's contact, and this time, Bottini facing the wrong way, stranded in the middle of the track, just waiting for a good gap in the traffic to get back and rolling. A few cars approaching behind, just needing to wait a little bit longer. Dr. Porkchop nearly collecting him, but seeing the Ginetta at the last second and pulling out. Unfortunately there for Bottini. Just the ACC contact just really bounces cars. And there we saw the Firebrand Ginetta getting absolutely thrown into the inside wall, protecting the pit lane. And not much he can do there. That moves JP Barreto up to his qualifying position where he started in second place. And Wes Jones now has a podium position after starting from 10th. Gennaro Olivero gets past Dr. Porkchop, so he is now your 4th place sitter in the number 12 AMG, as we have 3 AMGs inside the top 5. Lucky you, Eric. Dr. Porkchop currently rounding out the top 5, but Rally Dutchy looking to change that in the 621 Ginetta, getting very close to the Aston Martin. No, I wouldn't say it was a spin. It was just kind of side-by-side contact and just the way ACC physics works sometimes. Car just got thrown into the barrier. This is a good 3-car battle here for 4th, 5th, and 6th. 3 different manufacturers as well. AMG leads the Aston Martin, which leads the Ginetta. Two minutes left in the race. Not a lot of time left to get those finishing positions decided, as Chris Saunderson now has a 5-second gap to JP Barreto in second. He just needs to keep it clean in these last 2 minutes of the race, and he will take the checkered flag victorious. Wes Jones, after challenging Barreto for a long time, got very close and slides through the bus stop chicane. Nicely done for the cameras there. Cheers, Ninja Chase, excuse me. Thanks for that hydrate. Tonight we've got some green tea. Getting a little bit of energy boost, as well as some good hydration and a little bit of honey mixed in there too for the throat to not get too sore after the rookies certainly provide a lot of action in the 20 minutes. They have Rally Dutchy to the inside and into the top 5 goes the Janetta ahead of Dr. Porkchop now, gets the move done through turn 6 down the hill. And with 1 lap remaining, can the Janetta get close to the AMG of Olivero and challenge for 4th?
Right, man. The leader is on the final lap. Give it a final push.
Chris Saunderson on his way around his last 3.4 mile lap around Watkins Glen, but still lots of positions to be decided here between these 3 crucially. Who will finish 4th, 5th, and 6th? Currently, you've got Olivero leading the way from Rally Dutchy, and Dr. Porkchop in the heavily damaged Aston Martin just hanging it out there. Currently sitting in 6th, though. A good position for him despite the incidents earlier on. And can he fight for a top 5 position in the straights? Heavily disadvantaged though with that front end damage, but good perseverance from the doctor to stick with it and ultimately taking the checkered flag here with just half the lap remaining for this trio. Chris Saunderson just has 1 sector to go before he takes the race win in race number 1. He's got some time left until the checkered flag. Overtaking opportunities are coming for Rally Dutchy. We've seen the Janetta be very quick through this part of the track. Can Rally Dutchy find the space for the move past the AMG? It looks like Olivero comfortably ahead for this braking zone. But can he hang on to that position? Chris Saunderson rounding out the final corner as he sees the checkered flag waving up ahead of him. He will take the win in race number 1, leading from pole all the way to the end. JP Barreto challenged for 2nd place, but he ultimately finishes in the place that he started in, 2nd place. Wes Jones with a great drive up the field, up from 2nd place, or up from 10th place to 3rd place, I should say, excuse me. And then Olivero gets to 4th after starting outside the top 10. Same with Rally Dutchy into the top 5. Dr. Porkchop finishes in 6th place. Alice Nonohara with a good drive as well, taking the checkered flag in 7th. Luksha, after starting from 14th, takes 8th. Hezzy Thomas from the back inside the top 10 in 9th place in the number 59 KTM. Gets a good finishing position there. Unfortunately for Bottini, the ACC bumping system sees his front end heavily damaged, but ultimately does take the checkered flag inside the top 10.
Holy smokes!
Welcome back to the Trackalicious podium, Callie, on a 2-year streak. Thank you for the continued support. Happy to have you on the podium. As Joe Kalile in 11th place, has the ghost car incident happened earlier on. Prakash Natasan takes the checkered flag in 12th. Beluga in 13th. Gabriel Frere 14th. John Kilcoyne in the pits from the start, unfortunately picking up a lot of damage earlier on there, with Josh Ransom as well in the Janetta having to retire early in the event. So race number 1 complete, and if that was enough, we've got to do it all over again. 15 minutes of qualifying coming up right now.
Green light, give it all you can.
As we get the grid set for race number 2 this evening. Another 20 minutes of action. As right off the bat, Giancarlo Bottini rolls out of the pits to get his qualifying started. Hope you're enjoying the action so far. If you want to see yourself on this grid, signups are open as always on SimGrid, !SimGrid. We'll get you a link to sign up for this event and any other events that Trackalicious hosts throughout the week. Lots of fun championships to start off the new year. You've got round 2 underway here for the GT4 rookies. The Tuesday LMU championship going into round number 2 tomorrow. Same with the Wednesday multi-class ACC championship as they go into their second race at Laguna Seca this week. iRacing multi-class on Thursdays in the GT3s and the GT4s. Fridays the LMU mixed championship between the hypercars and the GT3s getting started as well. On Sundays, we've got the iRacing MX5 Cup as well. All those and plenty more events coming up from Trackalicious. Lots to look forward to in the new year. As Rally Dutchy getting a good top 5 result after starting outside the top 10 in the 621 Kuzata Racing Academy Ginetta. We've got some drivers now beginning their push laps. Bottini leads the way of those who have. Kalile and Frere, the 2 McLarens, still in the pit lane here with 3 minutes gone by in the qualifying session. Rally Dutchy beginning their first flying lap attempt here with 12 minutes on the clock. As the sister car of Bottini going up the hill, exiting the toe. Looking to get a clean lap on the board to start things off. No tire warmers for the GT4s. They have to do that all on their own. So it might take a few laps before we get some representative times here in this qualifying session. But let's see how fast the rookies can go here. Bottini on pole as it stands. Stop the count there. He will be on pole. A 156.137 from the lone driver to cross the line. And here we have the rest of the field coming in. Hezzy Thomas gets a time on the board, as does Wes Jones. As we wait for the field to filter on through. JP Barreto can't get a valid lap on the board. It was a 58.3, but not within the track limits, as it is much the same story for a lot of the grid here. Paolo Luksha gets on the board. He goes to third in the 43 AMG, about 3/10 behind Wes Jones and about 4/10 up from Hezzy Thomas. Dr. Porkchop gets a 56.815 on the board in his number 71 Aston Martin. Rally Dutchy gets up to third in the Ginetta. Chris Saunderson ending the lap here, coming up to the line, and he gets into the top 3 on his first valid lap. JP Barretto finishing in second in race number 1. After starting on the front row in second place, he looks to keep that momentum going here into race number 2. That will mark 3 second place finishes for JP Barretto, and as it stands, I think he will currently be leading the championship. So I'll be curious to see where we go into next week. Wes Jones to the line. He did have the fastest lap of the race, and he's got the fastest lap of the qualifying session, a 56.075 from the number 80 AMG. And will ride on board with JP Barretto for his flying lap attempt here down into turn 1. Shooting down the hill, very tricky to keep the grip, and into the lowest part of the track we go, and shooting immediately up the hill into the left-hander at turn 3, and back to the right and on to the back straight we go. Lots of time to prepare for the braking zone of the bus stop, braking right around that 300-foot board, taking it very close to the barrier on the inside part, and very neat and tidy throughout the bus stop chicane. And now through turn 5, back down the hill they go. Into the chute, turn number 6, tricky braking zone, but you can carry a lot of speed through the corner, a bit of camber helping out as well, and it is the same story at the toe. Turn 7, shooting back up the hill, and lots of camber helping out. You can want to try to get the power down as early as possible for this mini straightaway up the hill, fighting gravity the entire way, all the way to the braking zone, braking somewhere between the 200 and the 100-foot board. Each car a little bit differently, very tidy through the heel, and this corner very tricky, off camber, fighting the car the whole way, having to provide a bit of opposite lock to keep the car pointed in the correct direction. Very quick corner at turn 10. JP Barretto handles it very smoothly, and just one corner left, carrying all of the speed, getting close to the barrier on the outside and to the line. Where will this put Barretto? He goes up to third place. In the meantime, Khalil will take provisional pole away from Wes Jones, getting into the 55s, a 155.87 on the board from the number 26 McLaren, as they go off track and have to return to the pits. Or as JP Barretto, I should say, returns to the pits. Wes Jones getting bumped down to second place, but still on that front row, and it is very tight between Wes Jones, Barretto, and Bottini. About 0.06 of a second separating those 3 drivers, and still 5.5 minutes left in the qualifying session for the grid order to get shaken up. Gabriel Frere in the sister McLaren. Khalil showing the McLarens can have the pace here, and Frere matches that, as it is an all McLaren front row. Gabriel Frere leads the way in the number 27, ahead of Khalil by about a tenth of a second. As back to the pits goes Frere. Khalil begins another qualifying lap. 5 minutes left. Can Wes Jones find an improvement in these final corners to match the McLarens at the front of the grid? Currently about 3/10 off of provisional pole, and unable to match his personal best on this lap, as he has the KTM of Hezi Thomas in front. The KTM about 3/10 back from Pavel Luksha. Prakash Natasan in the 82 Dark Side Racing, sitting in 6th, about a 10th behind Bottini, holding on to that top 5 position. Can Natasan find the pace on this lap to get into the top 5 and get 3 AMGs in a row on the grid? John Kilcoyne gets a lap in, and he goes up to 3rd ahead of this whole party. Let's see where Natasan will go now, getting bumped down to 7th with Kilcoyne improving. And on this lap, the 82 can't improve on their personal best. Khalil goes back to the top by about a 10th of a second now. So it is a battle between the two McLarens for pole position here. Gabriel Frere to the line on his outlap. 2.5 minutes left for the 27 to find their best personal best, and hopefully for them be able to eclipse the time set by Joe Khalil as he sets out to improve the benchmark at the front of the field. As it is shaping up to be a much different grid for race number 2 than we had about 15 minutes ago in race number 1. But of course, lots of chaos and drama occurring early on in that one. Hopefully avoiding the same kind of carnage in race number 2 with a minute and a half left on the clock. It is now or never to get those qualifying laps in, as Joe Khalil sets out to improve the time at the front. Can he do it on this lap? He can. Improves by about a few tenths of a second. Now he has a 3/10 of a gap buffer to Gabriel Frere, who is coming up to Wes Jones. And Hezi Thomas in the KTM. Wes Jones slides wide, invalidates his lap. Where will this put Gabriel Frere? As he goes up to the line, he does improve his personal best, but it is not enough to get past Joe Khalil. And with that, Wes Jones runs wide on his flying lap attempt, and that gives the room for Gabriel Frere to continue to push on and find those 2/10 of a second. Oh, and John Kilcoyne onto the grass of the braking zone, keeping the slide under control through turn 9, looking to get onto the front row, needs about 0.3 of a second to do so. Can he do it here? 10 seconds left on the clock. He won't have time for another flying lap. This is it for John Kilcoyne in the 44 AMG, coming up to the line, and he can't improve on his personal best. The pole sitter from race 1 in 9th place. Where has the pace gone from the Audi? This is his final flying lap attempt here. Chris Saunderson about 1/10 behind Dr. Porkchop in 8th. Looking to find the time at the end here. Just one corner left. Where will this put Chris Saunderson? He goes up to 7th place ahead of Porkchop and Natasan. Hezzy Thomas on track, looking to find those 0.3 to get ahead of Pavel Luksha, sliding it through the final corner, trying to find any speed he can, but unfortunately scrubbing a little bit too much with sliding, unable to improve on his personal best. The last man with any say about the grid order is Dr. Porkchop. After starting on the 2nd row, he's down in 9th place in this one in the 71, but just one quarter left, taking a lot of curb, and that will slow the momentum of the Aston Martin down. And unfortunately coming up to the line, unable to set a new personal best. So 9th will be where the 71 Aston Martin will start race number 2. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. I was talking, and you guys couldn't hear me. Because the mute button on the microphone likes to not disengage sometimes. Let's run that back one more time. Joe Kalile on the front row, making it an all McLaren 1 and 2. The number 26 leads the way in the number 95 MCL livery. Alongside, you've got Gabriel Frere in the number 27, equally matched machinery on the front row, who will get the jump into turn number 1. Frere using the Logitech McLaren G Challenge livery. John Kilcoyne starting from 3rd, as he did in race number 1 in the 44 Firebrand Janetta. Wes Jones alongside him in the Baller Squad Racing number 80 AMG, looking to pick up another podium position here. João Pedro Barreto in the Mange Racing's number 6 AMG starts inside the top 5 as he looks to get up to the position he has finished 100% of the races in second place. Next to him on the third row, you've got Giancarlo Bottini challenging for the lead in race number 1. Can he do the same here in the number 57 Firebrand Ginetta starting from 6th? The race winner from race 1 starts from 7th place. It's Chris Saunderson in the Allison Racing number 18. Up next, Prakash Natasan in the Dark Side Racing number 82 AMG rounds out the 4th row. Dr. Porkchop is next, one of the 2 drivers tied for championship points at the top of the standings. He sits in 9th place in the number 71 Chop Shop Racing Aston Martin. Alongside him, top 5 finisher from race 1, Gennaro Olivero, this time starting inside the top 10 in the number 12 AMG. Alice Nonohara, also a good finishing position last race in the 42 KTM, the Wicked Sisters Motorsports, starting from 11th place. And Rally Duchy as well with a good result in the 621 Kuzata Racing Academy. Ginetta looking to do the same here in race 2. Paolo Lucia starts from 13th in number 43 AMG Motorsports, with Hezzy Thomas alongside in 14th on the 7th row on the grid in the Dog Box Racing KTM. Vladimir Beluga rounds out the grid this evening in the number 5 Beluga Racing Team Porsche. And so, another 20-minute race ahead of us for round number 2 around Watkins Glen International. The 2 McLarens, after starting from outside the top 5 in race 1, find themselves on the front row in race number 2. Joe Kalile leads the way with Gabriel Frere alongside him. John Kilcoyne hoping to avoid the lag spikes we saw in race number 1 for a nice clean finish for the Aston Martin. Wes Jones had the fastest lap of the race in race 1. Can he use that pace to his advantage to pick up another podium position or maybe even a race win here in race number 2? Still very early on in the championship, but is important to pick up all of the points that you can. Oh, goodness me, John Kilcoyne. What happened there? As the 44 there. What is going on with that Aston Martin? The ping is just flickering from high to low. It's just stuck on high at the moment. Hopefully able to get all of that sorted as the grid is set in zipper formation, rounding out the final corner, getting themselves prepared for 20 minutes of racing, getting their tires, their brakes, and themselves ready to go racing once again here.
Green light, show them what you got.
Green flag waves, green lights go on the grid. Joe Kalile gets a good jump, getting ahead of Gabriel Frere before the braking zone of turn 1. And there we have John Kilcoyne challenging down the inside, losing out on 3rd place to Wes Jones, who moves up and is trying to challenge the positions up in front of him. Now Bottini moves up the field very effectively, gets ahead of Barreto up to 4th place. And we saw the Ginetta of Giancarlo Bottini have the pace early on, or excuse me, in race number 1. Can he match that in race 2? Dr. Porkchop up to 7th place, up a few places from where he started, looking to get the jump on the Audi of Chris Saunderson, and John Kilcoyne back to the pits in the 44. Looks like some big front end damage to Gennaro Olivero's AMG, but he is in a good position here inside the top 10 in 8th. Joe Kalile gets a good jump from the start, and Bottini now challenging Wes Jones down the inside of the heel, gets the position, gets the move done. Wes Jones exposed a little bit behind to Barreto, but gets ahead of his AMG rival and stays in 4th place. So the 57 of Bottini moves up to a podium position. Can the Ginetta challenge the McLarens at the front, with Kalile already 1.5 seconds ahead of Gabriel Frere after just one racing lap? Barreto looks to challenge Wes Jones and move up to 4th place, but not quite close enough in the braking zone to line up side by side. He will have to wait it out once more, but Wes Jones runs wide, forces JP Barreto to check up a little bit. That might expose these two to the very quick Audi behind Chris Saunderson, looking to charge through the pair of AMGs up ahead of him. But JP Barreto has the slipstream. The 2 AMGs go to the inside. The Audi might challenge around the outside, but Chris Saunderson thinks the better of it and just tucks in behind as he waits for another opportunity to get past JP Barreto. Very tight group in the top 5 here. Dr. Porkchop making it a tight top 7, in fact. All of those cars basically within one corner of each other. As Joe Kalile continues to try and extend his lead over Gabriel Frere, who has Giancarlo Bottini within a second. No, excuse me. Then Wes Jones in 4th. But JP Barreto is trying to challenge that from 5th place, but doesn't want to push too hard, as that will allow Chris Saunderson and Dr. Porkchop to sneak on through and get those easy positions. Very tricky place to be in, trying to challenge in front while also having to look in the mirrors behind. Kalile pulls out a big gap. This is the view from the back of 2nd place sitter Gabriel Frere, with Bottini behind in the Ginetta, taking a lot of curb and running well wide at turn 1. Might allow Wes Jones an opportunity here down the straight. The AMG very close to Bottini and tagging the back of the Ginetta, and goes spinning is Bottini. And Wes Jones now getting slowed down by the contact, getting stormed by Barreto around the outside, and Chris Saunderson trying to find a way through the inside, but Wes Jones not giving any room at the bus stop. The 2 AMGs swapping positions there. Barreto up ahead and taking a podium position away from Wes Jones and Giancarlo Bottini. Dr. Porkchop and Chris Saunderson not too far behind the 2 AMGs, battling for that final podium position. as the AMGs of Wes Jones and JP Barreto continue to battle for fourth and third. There's another duo of AMGs battling for seventh and eighth. It's Gennaro Olivero and Prakash Natasan having a good run out of the final corner, looking to get the move done into turn one. Lots of damage to the front end of Olivero's car. Prakash Natasan hoping to take advantage in the straight line speed department, but a good defense put up by Gennaro Olivero into turn one, not allowing Natasan in the 82 to sneak on through. And just behind, it's Rally Dutchy trying to get through Alice Nonohara, Janetta versus KTM, and Hezi Thomas not too far up the road from these two, sitting in ninth place as the battles continue to roll on here. 7 minutes gone by in race number 2. Very tight field. As Dr. Porkchop unfortunately falling back from Chris Saunderson, but the two KTMs are battling hard. Alice Nonohara looking for a move through Hezi Thomas. No, Vladimir Beluga in the background there, I believe, coming into contact with the wall. And Alice Nonohara drifting through turn 7. Just trying to get close enough to Hezi Thomas to challenge, but it is in fact Rally Dutchy challenging up to the inside. A late breaking move by the Janetta moves him up into the top 10. And immediately trying to challenge Hezi Thomas for 9th place, getting by the pair of KTMs down the inside, but not a lot of room given from the number 59 to make that move stick. Oh, and Alice Nonohara goes into the wall on the exit of turn 11. There's a move thrown on by Prakash Natasan down the inside. Does he get the move done? They're still side by side, battling it through the S's they go. Natasan the inside for turn 2. Then he'll have the outside for turn 3. Can he keep the straight line speed going into the barrier? Just ever so slightly slowing down the 82. But the damage on the front end of the 12 significantly slowing down Oliveira, and that is Natasan advancing a position up into 7th place. And behind Rally Dutchy gets the position on both KTMs as Hezi Thomas slides through the bus stop chicane. Oh, I'm not sure if there was contact, but Hezi Thomas goes spinning at turn 5. Wes Jones still on the back of JP Barreto, not giving the number 6 any breathing room. Oh, sliding on the exit of turn number 9 as he catches a glimpse of the grass with that rear right tire. No traction, but great car control from Wes Jones. Unfortunately, there can't keep the grip and going into the barrier, as we've seen a number of drivers do this evening. That barrier does approach very quickly, and if you don't have the grip and you start understeering, it is so hard to avoid that wall. As we have reached the halfway mark of the race, still 10 minutes of racing action to go. Joe Kalile in the lead by 3.5 seconds. Now about 5 seconds over Gabriel Frere. And Chris Saunderson challenging now for fourth. He is trying to go side by side down the hill into turn 6, but Wes Jones has a good defensive posture there and able to thwart the attack thrown by Chris Saunderson. And it is getting very close from second to fifth, all in one straightaway here. The Audi versus the AMG, fourth versus fifth. Saunderson just trying to find any way through, but Wes Jones defending very well in the number 80. And down the main straight they go. Saunderson gets the slipstream, tucks into the inside, but Wes Jones deep on the brakes, but deep on the exit of the corner. They're side by side through the S's. We've seen some contact here earlier on. Will we avoid that? We will. The Audi gets ahead on top speed and moves up to fourth place, now trying to challenge João Pedro Barreto in the number 6, that purple AMG up ahead, and maybe even the 27 orange McLaren of Gabriel Frere. Wes Jones not giving up the position easy, still on the bumper of the number 18 Audi as Saunderson runs a little bit deep into turn 6. Nothing major there though. Not necessarily muted again, just not saying a whole lot there. Thanks for the follow, Cheese and Scarlet. Welcome to Trackalicious. Hope you are enjoying the racing so far. As Chris Saunderson continuing to chase down JP Barreto in his pursuit of Gabriel Frere for second place to make it his favorite finishing position in these races. And cheers for the hydrate Mexican cheese. I'm out of tea now. I have to resort to good old-fashioned water. So much action. Had to drink it all to keep the throat calm. But that is just how it goes sometimes. Joe Kalile has a good gap over Gabriel Frere, right around 7 seconds, as the McLaren in second continues to push on for those track limits. and into the wall as well. Really allows JP Barretto to close in on this lap alone. Chris Saunderson not too far behind, looking to take a podium position here. Can Gabriel Frere hang on with just 3 laps remaining? And Saunderson is charging quickly into the Audi. He has the slipstream. He has the V10 behind him as well. Barretto covers off the inside, having to go to the defensive look. And able to hang on to that position. You know, Grumpy Gamer, I have the same question. He had to return to the pits. I'm not sure why he returned to the pits, but it didn't look like there was any damage to the car when he did so, because he pitted right behind this gaggle of cars here from 5th, and there wasn't any incident that I noted, so not too sure what happened there. Maybe just a fuel miscalculation. But in the closing minutes of race number 2, the podium still yet to be decided. Joe Kalile in the lead by nearly 8 seconds now over Gabriel Frere, hanging on to second place from the start. At the end here, just losing a little bit of ground to Barretto, and Chris Saunderson in the Audi looking to use the straight line speed to potentially get onto the podium once again here in race number 2. Rally Dutchy getting closer to Gennaro Olivero, carrying that straight line speed damage, or disadvantage I should say, due to the damage on the front end of the car. You know, Mexican cheese, commentators' curses, usually my job. So, if you want to, I will happily hand over that role to you guys, so that way the curses are off of my chest. But Rally Dutchy here in the Ginetta, just unable to close it in the straight line compared to the AMG in front, despite having that front end damage very visible there, with the front bumper having a big gap to the hood and sliding all over the road as well. 1 minute to go, 1 lap left once Joe Kalile crosses the start-finish line. And JP Barretto not quite close enough to the McLaren in front to challenge for second place, and has shaken off the attack by Chris Saunderson as the gap has opened up to 1.5 seconds. A bit of an oversteer moment from Barretto exiting turn 9, but able to keep the AMG pointed in the correct direction.
Right, man, leader is on the final lap. Give it all you can.
With 30 seconds on the clock, Joe Kalile starts his final lap from the lead of the race. Also has the fastest lap to his name. But now it is up to JP Barretto. Can he get to second place ahead of Gabriel Frere in the 27 McLaren? Currently takes the second step of the podium, but hits the wall on the exit of turn 3, loses some straight line speed, and JP Barretto stuck in the slipstream, trying to get closer and closer, but the McLaren just having a lot of straight line speed advantage over its competitive manufacturers. And it is now down to the twisty bits, where the AMG can find some time to the McLaren. and he just can't quite get close enough down the chute, and into the boot we go for the final time. Very close through turn 7. Gets the grip, gets the exit, but the McLaren straight line speed just pulls the number 27 away from any sort of attack that Gabriel Frere, or excuse me, that JP Barreto can throw the way of Gabriel Frere. It's so hard to look away from this battle as these three are separated by just about a second. Chris Saunderson, the late charge, can he take third away at the last minute? Joe Carlisle, here he is, crossing the line as Barreto bumped from behind. Carlisle across the line to take the race win. A dominant performance from him, and behind, Gabriel Frere holds off the attack from the Audi and the AMG to take second place. Barreto, with the late defense, takes third. Chris Saunderson, great attacking effort from the Audi, takes fourth. Dr. Porkchop finishes inside the top 5. Prakash Natasan takes 6th place, and Gennaro Olivero hangs on by 0.2 of a second over Rally Dutchy to finish in 7th, Rally Dutchy in 8th. Then you've got Alice Notohara in the KTM in 9th. Pavel Luksha rounds out the top 10, and he was super close to getting past Alice Notohara at the end there. Hazzy Thomas takes the checkered flag in 11th place. Bottini, after the contact earlier on, takes the checkered flag in 12th. Then Vladimir Beluga, last driver on track, to get the checkered flag. Fireworks going off for the end of round number 2 at Watkins Glen International. A great track in New York. Lots of elevation change. And Vladimir Beluga takes the checkered flag to take 13th. We lost Wes Jones, John Kilcoyne, and Josh Ransom during race number 2 there, as we take it back to our studio. And we would like, to invite our podium sitters to the green room for a quick chat of how your guys' race, oh my gosh, got the hiccups now, went on. Lots of chaos in race number 1. A little more calm there in race number 2. Lots of great side-by-side action. Great late moves as well. Very tight between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to finish out race number 2. We've got JP Barreto in the green room ready for a chat. We'll bring him in. We'll bring in Gabriel Frere as well. We'll start with you, João Pedro. How's it going? You got a 2nd place and a 3rd place finish there, and I think with you finishing ahead of the Aston Martins, you are now the championship leader.
Let's see. I think so. It was a tough race. A lot of tire management skills. So I love to race the track first time. So I enjoyed it a lot. I want to send a shout out for my friends from Brazil. He cheered a lot for me. So that kind of motivated me. So I want to say thanks for him. Okay.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of support from the chat.
It's very good.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, you're just having to attack and defend at the same time there in race 2. Almost getting up to Gabriel Frere there. Hope I'm saying your name right. Let me know if I'm not. Try to get everything right there. But yeah, you had to defend for your life there at the end, it looked like.
Yeah. I had no tires at the end of the race, so my left tires are very hot. So it's a bit difficult to do some curves of this track.
Mm-hmm.
And I start very strong at the beginning of the race, but I can't keep the pace, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
I knew
seemed
you
like.
guys were. Oh, sorry, man.
No,
sorry.
go right ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say I knew they were battling because we were all pretty close in qualifying, and they were on me like the first 2 laps, and then like as the race went on, like just the time just kind of got further and further away. So I knew there was definitely some battling going on.
Yeah, it all happened right in the last 10 minutes too. It seemed like there was a comfortable gap, and yeah, but just tire wear playing a factor there, and some good pace from you, Barreto, and Kalil. Joe, you just kind of ran away from that one. You just in race 2 at least, you just took pole and never looked back.
You know, I've been racing with Trackalicious now like 2 years, and that's my first race win, believe it or not. So
well, congrats, man.
Yeah,
congrats.
It feels pretty good. That McLaren is fast. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chat was saying that McLaren kind of easy to defend in there because you just run away in the straights and not really much you can do. We saw there at the end a couple of times where Gabriel lost the rear end at the exit, maybe hit the wall there on that final lap too. But despite that, just the McLaren just keeps chugging along.
From my path, I was just behind him. When he hit the wall, I think, okay, I will pass through the left. But when I direct the car to the left, he started to be faster than me. What? He hit the wall and he's faster than me. What? So I just keep cool because we are three wide. So if you get in one corner, some mess gonna be very big.
Yeah, we've seen it. We saw a couple of incidents occur there, but luckily nothing too major for the most part. But yeah, congrats you guys on getting some podium finishes there. The 2 McLarens looking strong in race number 2, and João Pedro keeping the consistent streak of 100% podium finish so far.
Yeah, 4 podiums.
4 podiums, and Chris joining in late. Hello, Chris. How are you doing? You are muted, by the way. There you are. Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Joining in a little bit late here. Yeah, but talk us through race 1. You caught at the pole position and just kind of, as Joe did in race 2, kind of took off and didn't really look back.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from.
Honestly, neither do I. Let me tell you, neither do I. I had good pace the first race, but there was like a network issue, so there was like a glitch or some lag or something, and I actually wrecked out. So
oh no,
didn't really get to see what that McLaren was all about race 1, but race 2 it really opened up. So
yeah,
and Chris, you were challenging for that podium position at the end there in race 2, but JP Barreto and Gabriel Frere just defending for their life up ahead of you. There's a tag at the final corner, but yeah, I think JP just put on a good defensive move, just nowhere for you to go.
Yeah, no, I didn't have anywhere to go there. It was challenging. Pretty sweaty.
Yeah, when you pass the AMG, I just see in the mirror the Audi come closer and closer and closer. Oh my god, I need to push. This guy is coming for blood.
Yeah, that was fun racing. Good game too.
It was fun.
Yeah. My VR on race 1 there. My VR went completely black for a couple of the corners there, and
no!
Yeah.
Oh goodness!
So a little bit more challenging, but it worked.
Some technical issues. I had to do only 1 lap because if I do more than 1 lap in the quali, my wheel will overheat. So I have some troubles. In the multi-class, I have to quit because my wheel just stopped working, and so I just facing some issues here, but I kind of handle it.
Yeah, as I like to say, that's kind of the equivalent of having car troubles in real life racing. You know, if your PC crashes out, you got some hardware issue that's the same as, say, your brakes don't work, something in the engine fails, something in the transmission goes out. So there's a lot you can kind of relate that to a lot of real life racing too. So yeah, but looking forward to what you guys provide in terms of action for the rest of the season. Congrats on the wins, Chris and Joe, and the podiums, Gabriel and Joao. Good luck for the remaining 6 races, and hope to see you back here in the green room.
Thank you, sir.
Hopefully.
Thanks,
Next
sir.
week.
We hope so.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, thank you guys as always for taking the time. I'll move you guys back here to the green room.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And yes, thank you, chat, as well, for your continued support for JP and all of the other drivers as well. They certainly love it, and we love to see it as well. And yes, Dr. Porkchop, I agree. Poor Killcoin getting lagged out twice. Again, it's just what happens sometimes with the hardware troubles, internet troubles. You can just so many relations to real life racing there that we can take. But I'm sure the 44 Aston will be back and stronger than ever for the remaining 6 rounds of the GT4 Rookies Championship. Tomorrow we go to LMU for the Tuesday GT3 League before going back to ACC on Wednesdays for the GT3 and GT4 multi-class. Going to Laguna Seca this week. Thursdays we go to iRacing for the same multi-class format, the GT3s and the GT4s. Friday is the LMU Hypercar and GT3 Mixed Championship. Saturday, you get a break from us, but on Sunday, it is the iRacing MX5 Cup. Signups for those are open on SimGrid. Join the Discord to keep up to date with all of the latest news and information regarding championships and any sort of fun one-off events Trackalicious may host. And once again, thank you all for joining us and all the folks doing the hard work in the background, keeping these series running smoothly. And of course, all of the drivers for participating and putting on a show for us here in the broadcast booth and the rest of the chat to enjoy. I hope you all have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be watching us from. Stick around for the raid of El Taco Man doing some LMU daily races. Tell them Trackalicious sent you. Spread the love from one community to the next, and we will catch you next time.